Yo, I'm Mat4yo, and this is Chisel This. Alright, it is the week after my album has released. If you haven't listened to it yet,
it's hard for me to think here at Arbitrary Inc.
Haters keep hating, I get drunk off of booze.
But rest assured, when the stupid end us, I promise it won't be stupendous. Nope.
What's going on? This is Watsky, and I just want to say check out Foreignology by Mat4yo, available on iTunes and all other platforms. Peace!
So I am here to kind of reconvene, to kind of gather myself. I have worked for so long, almost a year on this album, and you are just starting to hear it. So it's kind of an interesting baton pass. So I'm going to take this opportunity to watch some of the videos that you have sent me and tell you what I think of them, as I hope that you will take a listen to my album and tell me what you think of it. This is the 4th episode, so as you are all aware, I am only reviewing content that has been sent to me, so nobody's video is appearing in this against their will. These are all things that were voluntarily sent to me for the sake of reviewing. And when you ask for my advice, that's what you're going to get. I'm not holding anything back. Here we go. Okay, so this is, what rhymes with purple?
When the earth's in pain, its teardrops pour like hurricanes in the purple rain.
So this was actually released before my video, so this kid could not have been copying me. Maybe I was copying this person by accident. Let's find out how his rivals mine. In 3, 2, 1. All round the beats.
I just came up with an unravelable word pool. 4 whole colors that I thought were cool. And I won't use cheap words like nerd pole. I'll find real lines from oranges over beige and purple. So I saw some cute dogs that I thought were cold, so I handed one a blanket and she got a fur. Sitting by her pole, it was pure gold. She shared it with her pups, one for all. No, I'm coming in gold, you're silver. You just don't have the skills, sir. I ransack, raid, and pilfer, going on a 19 kill straight. You're not making bills or even coins, and it will burn when you get the creepy, eerie chills for the fact that these disses still hurt. So when you need a rhyme, who do you call? If they're not in time, it's not the Ghostbusters' fault. They just cannot fathom at all. What in the world rhymes with purple?
Well, that was well thought out. I can say that much about that. It definitely did not take any shortcuts with rhyming these unrhymable words. However, the way that you've delivered this does not meet the standards to which you've written it. So let me put it this way. 2 things. The words can't just rhyme on paper. They have to rhyme in your pronunciation of them.
Ghostbusters' fault. Purple. Ghostbusters' fault. Purple.
And they have to fall on the same hitboxes of the rhyme scheme in order to sound like you're supposed to be rhyming them together. Otherwise, they just sound like other words in the rap that are not part of the rhyme scheme that you're emphasizing. If the first line has its rhyming punchline earlier than when it is mirrored in the second line, it does not sound like a rhyme to me. It sounds like a mistake. And when you're doing these things, there's such a small margin of error for the gimmick that you are trying to work with that you have to make sure that all of these minute errors are completely avoided, because otherwise that is all that is heard. Your presentation means so much, because no matter how good the thing is, if the thing is not being perceived the way it's supposed to, then it all falls through. I'm focusing more on your errors rather than the content that you've written into it. Other than that, I can tell that your voice hasn't matured yet, so you don't need me to tell you that you'll get there, because you will. We all kind of start at this point where our voices haven't quite matured yet and the microphone quality rivals that of a potato, but you need to work on making sure that what's up here gets translated not just onto paper, but back up here as well, and it comes out the way that you intend it to. Let's see what's next. Dominick Hendricks with a song called War. 3, 2, 1, and go.
They hate, they fight, they're always in a war. When they scream, despite there's fire in the core. Said they hate, they fight, they're always in a war. When they scream, despite there's fire in the core. There is never love, there's only fighting in this hate. But when there is the love, then the smiles quickly fade. They always blame each other and their love goes even farther. They're being selfish, they're not thinking about their sons and their daughters. All they care about.
So I think this one suffers from the same thing that the last one did, where I can tell that there is substance to what you're saying underneath that, but the presentation of it all draws my attention away from that and more towards the things that I shouldn't have to tell you to fix. Now, obviously, you say, how am I going to know to fix it if no one ever tells me to fix it? Well, this is me telling you to fix it, but I'm saying that as the consumer, I expect this following list of errors to not occur so that I can indulge in the content and immerse myself in it and understand what is actually being said. So the first thing is the video. It's fine that you're in your room. However, the angle that you're set up on has your head cut off, and the focal point of the video, just on the Z-axis of depth, has your hands in the very front, twiddling your thumbs back and forth as if you don't know what to do with those. Maybe you don't know what to do with those, but you have to give the impression that you do know what to do with those when you are in front of that camera. The second is your eye contact. When you are looking at the camera and then half the other time you're looking away at the screen and reading your lyrics, not only does it make me lose connection with you as an artist, but it also tells me that you don't have such a strong connection with your lyrics because you don't know what the lyrics are. You are reading them off of that screen right there that's next to your camera. So that level of emotional connectivity is lost for me. And the third is obviously the microphone quality. You are extremely close to your microphone. It is peaking. It is above the amplitude limit. My only recommendation, aside from getting new equipment, is to take a step back, make sure that you can view your wavelength, and make sure that it does not exceed the capacity of your recorder. So when you're looking at a wavelength, let's take this example from Adobe Audition. You have, right in the center is your lowest possible amplitude or volume. That is what you call the zero crossing. It's where the amplitude is as low as it can get, absolute zero. There is no sound to be heard. As you produce sound, it'll normally mirror itself going up and down to create one healthy wavelength. Now, if you get too loud, it will reach the very top of the limit, which is represented by the value of 0. That would mean it's peaking, meaning that the actual software cannot record or read data that is above that line. It is irreparable. There is no data there. And that's what you're hearing. So you want to make sure that your recording is healthy by making sure that it never gets as loud as that 0 peaking point. Trying to look past those natural errors and into the actual substance of your piece, I think that it's a little explanatory and less poetic. I think that there's different ways and more abstract and colorful and unique ways to say some of the things that you're saying. I think that these things are valid and that they are true, but that they are not artistic and poetic. So you have, while they're screaming at each other, no, their child sees the blade. I like that imagery there. They always blame each other and their love grows even farther. They are being selfish. They are not thinking about their sons and their daughters. So these are all the primordial ideas that you have. This is what you see with your own eyes. But this whole rapping thing is a little bit more about what you see with your own eyes. It's about imagining something deeper. It's about finding the words to describe what we might feel, what we might see, but not with our eyes, but with our minds. These abstract images that are not tangible, that cannot be touched, that are not realized in real life with your own eyes, that are not standing in front of you, but that exist on a different plane. And they can relate to these things that you see in real life. They can relate to the words that you're saying, but they should not be the words that you're saying. It is just too cut and dry at that point. I wholly encourage you to continue what you're doing. It takes some self-evaluation and reflection and maturity to get to a point where you are confident in yourself and that other people want to listen to your work. And it doesn't have to be overnight. You don't have to snap your fingers and get there, but it will happen. You just have to look at yourself and understand what is wrong, accept that there are things wrong, and find out how to fix them. Okay, next we have Honeycombs 96 with Frieza versus Zim. I don't know anything about these characters, so you won't hear me contemplating on the lore of this story, but let's 3, 2, 1.
Rap battle! Lord Frieza versus Invader Zim.
'Tis I, Lord Frieza, and I come to take you out. You little green blob, you've no chance in this bout. Look at those fake human eyes. I'll hit him with a Kai blast. I'll go into my final form and leave you aghast. Go full power, but I don't need to. My final form is all I need to beat you.
Grr! Prepare to launch the attack while I face this stupid hack. Frieza, you got nothing while I have a second coming.
Okay, this has a very blatant error that I'm happy about because this is a good opportunity to point it out crystal clear and tell you not to do it ever again. Right here, you have your first person rapping. And let's count out the bars together. 1,
Lord Frieza, and I come to take you out. You
2,
little green blob, you've no chance in this bout. Look at those
3,
fake human eyes. I'll hit him with a Kai blast. I'll
4,
go into my final form and leave you aghast.
5,
Go full power, but I don't need to. My final
6,
form is all I need to beat you.
7.
Prepare to launch the attack.
So your other person started rapping on the 7th bar when they should start rapping on the 9th bar if you're going to have them switch positions there. And I'll tell you why. Music is measured on a 4-bar structure. You have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. With your verse, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and next character! You need to look at this with an open mind and don't think that just because the rules exist and that they are mathematical and that they are a set standard that you don't have to follow them because who needs rules, right? I tend to break rules a lot, but there are fundamental rules that you just can't break because they are natural laws. It is like gravity. This is music's form of gravity. You just can't get around this because it's unnatural. In order to have that kind of content where we're focusing on the substance and not the errors is to make sure that you stick to that 4-bar structure when you are organizing these things so that it doesn't sound like a mistake when you plan something to occur. The other thing is that I understand that you may be a child or you might not have a matured voice, but when you get up really close in the microphone and you yell, "Rap battle!" This might not be true, but it at least sounds like you're trying not to wake up your parents at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's not an insult, that's what it sounds like. And even if that's not true, that is the impression that you give your audience. So even if your parents are, holding the boom mic in front of you and helping you make the video, if you're doing that, rap battle, dare I say cringe. If you're gonna scream, you have to put all of your girth into it, put all of your energy into it. I know that you can do better than that. The other thing is you can hear the wind violently assaulting the actual internal components of the microphone.
Lord Frieza versus Invader Zim.
The way a microphone works, it either has magnetic plates or a ribbon or a coil inside of it that vibrates when you speak. It only vibrates because your vocal cords push air out of your mouth, just like your ears can hear it, that pushes the microphone in a way that records the sound that is being produced. So it also reacts in the same way to air that does not contain any sound. Wind. That's why wind sounds so jarring. That's also why you need a pop filter in front of your microphone so that you don't get your P's pushing the air out into your microphone and causing that plosive or that violent vibration that you don't want in your recording. So just be aware of these things and be able to notice them when they happen. It still happens to me, but you just have to take a step back, figure out why it's happening, move your mouth somewhere, but still make sure the microphone is picking it up, and make sure that doesn't get picked up. The other thing that this battle suffers from is that you are writing without considering the instrumental. I've said this a lot, but just for a brief review, maybe you mince words, you don't need as many words to say what you want to say, and your lines wind up being very short, and then when it comes time to translate that onto your instrumental, you realize that you don't have enough words, you don't have enough syllables in that line to fill the time of that 1 bar, so you just space them out.
Prepare to launch the attack while I face this stupid hack.
Or you say 1 line, and then you wait for the next bar to come, and then you say your next line.
Face this stupid hack. Frieza, You got nothing, while I have a second coming.
That's not musical, that sounds like an error. So try to avoid these things so that we can actually comment on the substance of your content, because right now my mind is being clouded by all the errors. And it's not to say that I don't have the capacity to look past all these errors, take off the rose-tinted glasses, and look deeper into this. But the point is, as a consumer, that presentation should be rid of errors so that all my attention can be focused towards digging deeper into that. Instead, all my energy is being focused to cringing at these errors. These aspects need to be fixed first before you can dig deeper into anything. Up next is Kaleb Fletcher, Mr. Master Ranter versus Kaleb Fletcher in 3, 2, 1.
Bars of lifeless morons! Mr. Master Ranter versus Kaleb Fletcher! Begin!
Okay, let's get this over with, Mr. Nerd. Oh yeah, you're not nobody that since you forgot your password. I mean, how dumb can you be, Mr. RKTV? You only started doing YouTube because you were a fan of me. I mean, you looked at my series and started ripping them off. How can you say you hate drama when that's all you do vids on? And despite your subs, you used to barely go up. You only hit the big 1K because you did a super sub.
Hey everyone, Mr. Master Ranter here, and I'm a destroyed this good for nothing queer. He be calling me I'm a man, you a freak show. In fact, I not that, you just a cheap ass hoe. What you gonna do? Well, I'll beat you black and blue. I'll leave you in a ditch because you're a little bitch. So let's see who comes out on top. It's me, not you, because you're flop.
It makes me laugh that you think you win this, bro, when you...
It hurts so bad when you end the line early. Aside from the fact that this again sounds like you're trying not to wake your parents with the amount of energy in the opening, and the mic quality could be better, I think that the first character, which is, I think, Kaleb, has a lot of energy, a good personality, and can keep up the flow enough to the point where I'm actually listening to the words this time. And that's a very stark contrast to the last videos I played, where I basically don't remember the words because my brain did not record them because they weren't being heard with clarity. So you understand that just because this was that much more understandable, that I was actually able to focus on those words while I'm watching this. And I think that they are good for the most part. The bad part of this video is when the second character starts rapping and a lot of the same issues are occurring where there's no connection between the personality and the camera. You're reading the lyrics. It seems that you have written them without considering the need for an instrumental. You just have lines that slightly rhyme and you are reading them over the beat as if you're hearing it for the first time. Don't do that. It is not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. It's a very important relationship that the words have with the beat, and they have to match on there perfectly. I don't know how else to say that other than you should be able to hear that and know that it sounds wrong. And we will do one more for today. Starboy featuring Salma Kira by Canvas Records. I have no idea what this is. Let's find out in 3, 2, 1.
I always thought that we were something special, but I lost that. Sound bad like a soft rap, give me the force back. Took me to the stars, now I'm stuck like I lost maps. Longing for your voice while I'm staring at my contacts. It wasn't all bad, we used to be laughing, looking at you and Mr. Stars. We were passing, you stole my breath and left me gasping. You gave me answers but left me asking, and now I can't grasp that the past is gone. Sitting in space, writing these massive songs about how mass is wrong. And you were right, and now I'm all alone with no human life. It could have been so perfect, but it isn't. We're too busy dreaming, so I forgot to listen. If we ever had a shot, well now it's gone. I can't believe you rather worship the sun. Look what you've done.
This is such a step up from everything else in this video in a good way, because all the other errors that the other videos had are not present here. So now I can focus on fixing other things that are beyond that in the lineage of things that need to be fixed before you can be perfectly happy with the product. The recording is decent. The vocals are at a good level with the music. The flow is good and on time and on pace and rhythmic. So all of those things don't need to be fixed. What I think does need to be fixed here is the pronunciation or elocution of your words. Because while I felt the emotion in your voice and I felt the passion and I was grooving to this because you were matching that beat, they were married together. The problem was that, and I can't tell if it's because you are foreign to the English language or you have an accent or it's just the way that you talk or it's something that you have to overcome. But at the end of the day, regardless of what was happening behind that mic, on the other side of it, I had a hard time understanding the words that you were saying. And that is so important because what are you writing if not the words that you want people to understand? What are you speaking if not those words that you've written? And what am I hearing if not those words that you have spoken? It doesn't mean that you have to pronounce every single letter of a word to the point where it's reminiscent of reading a children's storybook or speaking on a platform, like giving a speech or something. It's totally different from that. There are words that you can fudge and slang around, but the problem is I'm hearing the emotion, but I'm not hearing the words. I'm hearing the how, but I'm not hearing the why. Pace yourself and take your time. It doesn't have to be all in one take. Get somebody else to listen and understand everything. I know what it's like to know the words and listen to something that you've written and think, well, I understand this. And then you give it to somebody else and they have no idea what you're saying. Rap gets finicky like that. It is not something that only you struggle with. It's something that we all struggle with. And you just have to make sure that you are giving it a second listen, that you are putting extra ears on it that are not your own to make sure that this piece that you've constructed is understandable. That's something that I went through with Foreignology in so many ways. That's why it took me so long to produce the album, because once everything was written, I had to make sure that not only could you understand every single word that I said, but I've taken it further in that lineage of things that need to be fixed. And I'm saying, am I emphasizing every single word the way I intended when I wrote it? Is this conveying the original intent of when I put that pen to paper? That's something you can work on after you make sure that all of your lyrics are coherent and understandable. This has the potential to be a good, resonant track. It is something that I promise you, if you work on, will be worth the effort. And I encourage you and everybody else in this video to work on the constructive criticism that I provided, to not take it with disdain and disgust, to not take it as an insult, to not be upset about it, to not think that it's making fun of you, but to look at it as a token of how you can make yourself a better version of yourself. And I hope that you come back and you showed me that you figured it out and you made it work. So if these reviews were something that you considered substantial and you think you learned something, feel free to send me a link to your work and have it appear in the next episode of Fans Get Chiseled. Or you could take that extra step and become a patron and have access to this kind of criticism and advice all the time. I have a group of awesome people. Their names are on this bookshelf back there, and they convene in this group that I am also in. They talk with each other. They talk with me. I send them my work when I'm working on it. They send me their work. They get reviews from me. They get reviews from their peers. It's like a constant conversation. We become friends for as little as $1 a month. You can help me keep creating this content and help yourself create better content at the same time. We love to have you as a chiseler. You can ask any of them. Everybody is happy to be a part of this community that I built, and I'd love to have you be a part of it as well. And all patrons get to download high-quality waves of Foreignology for free. One of these can be yours. I am certain that you will learn at least one new thing after you listen to it, and I implore you to tell me what that is. That is the reward that I want out of this. It's not to make the money. It's to have the reward of the knowledge that you've listened, that you've learned something. I'm not forcing you to change the way you think, but I want you to look at the way I think and experience this project that I put together for you. I'm Mat4yo, and that's all for you today.
Black ice on your wrist. Black ice on your wrist. Shopping for apparel is a perilous task.